All right, so this is going to be some exclusive contents for our members. This is going to be our best man recap. So before we get into the final chapters, how did y'all feel about the original Best Man movies? And which one was your favorite?
My favorite was two. One was okay. Two was the shit. Um, and this last installment was probably my second favorite.
Wow. So one is last for you.
One is last for me, even though it kick started the whole trilogy,
Right.
the whole best man situation. I actually fell in love with the whole best man's that's now series at two.
Okay. So was it the whole dance John that they did in part two that kind of like turned you on?
I made another fun fact about Nell was New Edition is one of my favorite groups, and Can You Stand the Rain is one of my top 10 favorite songs of all time. So when they did that, it was just smooth. It was just smooth to see those brothers as friends do something together to appease their ladies and make it so fun and sexy for the ladies. And it was dope. So I like that.
All right, so Ish, how do you feel about it? How's your order?
Actually, my order is exactly how it is, like exactly how it came out. Like one was an absolute favorite. Like I can't tell you, like I've watched that shit like 120 times. The Best Man Holiday is next. Like that's the runner up at just in succession. Um and then I really enjoyed how they broke down the episodes. I feel like they gave us more than a third movie would have given, because you figure a third movie would have been an hour and a half, 2 hours. By them breaking it down in the episodes, we got about 8 hours, maybe a little bit more. And I feel like, they kind of just tied everything in and wrapped everything up. So I'm going to go in the order that they were made. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna go in the order that they were made, and I'm gonna say that the whole Best Man series has like a different um feeling for me because when I watch it, like when I watch Terrence Howard, is like I get to see like that's how my dad used to act in real life. Like so when I watch Terrence Howard, it's like I get to see like what that would have been like, as a grown up. So
right.
different
Okay.
feeling for me
Mhm.
watching these movies. But it
Mhm.
do go in order for me. I'm gonna say the first one would be my absolute favorite, just because all the secrecy and how it played out. But I enjoy all of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoy all of it. And I will say that I'm glad that they did this as a series instead of the third movie because yeah, we got more than we would have. Even though there was a lot of filler, I feel like even the
Mhm.
filler was good in
Yeah,
these final
Yeah.
chapters. I feel like even the filler was good.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think the third one was necessary
Right.
because it tied up some loose ends. It
Mhm.
helped us to see exactly, you know, how this came about and where this came about and whatever. Because I didn't know until this final one. I think none of us knew that Terrence Howard's character, um, what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Quentin.
Q.
Yeah, Q.
Quentin
Yeah.
Q and um, Shorty. That was his actual baby. That's his real daughter.
Right.
We
Mhm.
didn't know that on two.
Right.
We
Right.
just thought that was her daughter that she had
Right.
and
Mhm.
whatever. But that was actually his real daughter that came from them messing around from one.
Right.
And we learned that in
Mhm.
three. So I think that was dope. And then it's just to see them, that crazy toxic couple. So toxic.
Yeah.
Like killing they
Yeah.
wanted to kill each other. They hated each other. They had a love-hate relationship.
Right.
And
Mhm.
it culminated into them, I mean, doubling back and going and marrying each other. And that was dope.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Right.
then being made for each other. Them two was crazy as shit. Like
Right. So who would be your favorite character? And if you had to pick one to be your partner, which one would it be?
My favorite character was um Lance.
Okay.
I liked Lance.
El Boogie.
I like Lance, and the reason why I like Lance is because he always was the strongest one in the group, but three showed a vulnerable side,
Right.
a more conscientious side. Like it focused on his vulnerability of losing his wife, and then the transition of him being a single father, him being a father in today's world,
Right.
him having to deal with a lot of the challenges that we kind of like don't want to deal with. You know what I
Facts.
mean? One, his son being not transgender, but
By what do they call it?
Non-binary.
non-binary, and hiding behind that because it's, he didn't want to disappoint his father, not wanting to go down the route of like him playing football, you know what I mean? And then him also having daughters,
Right.
and them not having a mother, and them having to cope with losing their mother and how impactful that was. So I liked Lance's character. I would have said Tay Diggs' character just because of, what I mean, whatever. But I think Lance resonated with me more.
All right. So what girl are you gonna pick?
Um, Nia Long.
I'm not mad at you.
I was.
Jordan.
I'm not mad at you.
I actually fell out of love with one of the characters.
Oh shit.
I actually fell out of love with one of the.
We'll dig deep into
Well,
that later.
yeah.
We'll dig deep into that later. What's your answer, Ish?
All right, so I feel like my favorite character would be Shelby. I can just relate to Shelby in so many different aspects, even though she was the most like rambunctious, ratchet one. But she had a softer side to her that we saw periodically, that she tried to hide. But I just loved her spiciness, her fierceness. I can relate to her in a lot of different facets. And I feel like the guy that I would most want to be with, it's difficult to say, but I would say Lance, because I don't know if I would have wanted to, or if I would have been able to withstand all of the cheating in the beginning, but the man that he grew to be, the husband that he grew to be, the father that he grew to be, was, mwah, you know what I mean? Superb.
Beautiful.
That's what I would
All right.
want
All
in
right.
a
So,
husband.
so since you picked Lance, how do you
Mhm.
feel like he's held up? I would say.
Yeah, so I feel like, he went through the motions just as any of us probably would. Probably a little tougher than most, because he wasn't as open to that progress at first, just evolving and loving again and being open to feel, you know what I mean? Um, but I think he held it down as best as anybody could, given the circumstances.
Right.
So I felt like he was doing a good job.
Right. But what I mean is, how do you feel
Mhm.
like he's held up with his body?
Oh, buh, duh. Yeah, that nigga still look good. He still look good.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell y'all this story that happens with Lance. Right. So when I go to the movies to see the original Best Man movie, right, and Lance's character first comes on the screen, right, the girl that I'm with is like, "Is that Ricky?" And she's like super excited and shit. Like, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "He grew up."
Yeah.
And that was a thing. Like that was a thing.
Mhm.
Like the girls,
Mhm.
his whole sex symbol thing. I think that's where his whole sex symbol thing started in the first
Mhm.
movie.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
would definitely agree with that. And yes, his body matured a lot from Boys in the Hood, and even now he's like more seasoned. Is Yeah, he's definitely
Yeah.
eye candy. He's definitely eye candy. Like, what,
Right.
Lance, how
All
you
right.
doing?
So I'm gonna say Quentin is my favorite character because he always got little jokes here and there. I just be dying. And if I had to pick one of the girls, it's hard because I love them all. I love them all, dear.
Mhm.
Even Mia. I love them
Right.
all. But I think I would probably choose Shelby because I think Shelby held it up better than everybody. Surprisingly, even better than Nia. And I
She
love Nia.
did. She did. She did.
Mhm.
Shelby is killing them right now.
Mhm.
And truth be told, she made the final chapter what it was. Like
Right,
she,
right.
her
She was
spiciness,
right.
her
She was out.
pizzazz gave the final chapter like a life.
Right, right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
I'm mad
Yeah.
at
Because in the first two, she kind of was afterthought. She was kind of like the first
Mhm.
one, we didn't hear too much. We heard little bits.
right,
Second one, she was made out to be a whore
right,
and a
Mhm.
lost cause. And then three, she found herself
right,
and was true to her person.
right.
Mhm.
All right. No. What questions do you have before we get into this shit?
Let's talk about merch. Let's talk about merch. And I know we all have a merch in our crew,
right,
Mhm.
right? And me and T is in the same crew, and I know he can attest to this name when I say this name in association with who merch is in our group. I
right.
would say the merch of our group is Mont.
Definitely, definitely.
The merch of our group is Mont because if Beans, who is his first cousin, was to name me, T, or anybody else's best man, Mont would be just like merch.
right,
Mhm.
Right.
right. He would be going
And
crazy.
then merch with his own girl, his wife. Mont is the same damn way.
Right.
Just nitpick. Like,
Mhm.
but that's my dog though. But merch was like a scene still in a lot of places.
That's what
And
I was gonna say. I feel like Merch and Candace probably had the most strongest relationship throughout the whole series.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
since the second movie, I guess they've
Yeah.
had the strongest relationship where they've never really, got into it. They've always like figured it out and pushed through. I
Mhm.
just feel like in the final chapters, Merch was trying to find himself with the UFC
Mhm.
shit.
Mhm.
But I feel like that was a little weird. Like, why are you doing UFC, bro?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
reason.
and like,
I
where
thought,
did that come from?
yes.
yeah,
But
it was, yeah,
go ahead.
the aggression part of it.
Right, right,
That's what I was gonna say. Feeling his lack thereof and needing to feel powerful in a sense. So I think that's why, because I was trying to correlate the two as well. Because
right,
I'm like, he's the most softest,
right,
like soft spoken, not softest like he's not strong. I just mean like soft, just mild mannered, very reserved and laid back. And I was trying to find a correlation, right, between the two. Like, this is just so left field, like very aggressive, very in your face, like fuck them up type shit. And I'm just like, where is this coming from? But I feel like he was trying to find some power within himself. And even with the movie and the way he was portrayed in the remake of the book, I feel like he just was searching for some strength, and that's how he got it.
I feel like it was a little left because I understand the aggression part of it. But if you want the respect from your friends, like,
That's not how to do it.
yeah, can we start there? Like, can we start with like talking to your friends and getting the respect from your friends? Like, you out here kicking all these other niggas' ass.
Right.
Like the fight in the back seat with Terrence Howard was like, what the fuck are y'all doing? The monkey paws and shit, they was wild.
Right. Yeah, that shit was funny.
Yeah, they was wild.
That
But
shit was funny.
yeah, merch took a different spin in the final chapters, but I think
Mhm.
he brought it back. He found
Mhm.
something that he could have for himself, and
Mhm.
he brought it back to a ground zero where he could actually be good now.
Yeah. You know what I would have liked to have seen though within the whole Merch and Candace story is that Merch used that aggression to Dr.
Right.
What's his name? Like that she allowed him to go
Well,
and whip
well,
his ass.
well, that's what I'm saying. So is that a good or a bad thing that she stopped him from doing that?
No, I definitely think it was good because he could have gotten in trouble the doctor, could have gotten severely hurt or some shit. So it was good. I mean, I would have liked to have seen it for entertainment purposes, because the doctor surely deserved that after what he did. But I think it's good that she stopped him.
Okay. You agree now?
I agree. And another thing that what they did with Merch's character was allowed him to be kind of the resident black man,
Right.
right? The everyday black man who's dealing with those challenges, those racial challenges, and the challenges with his his family, and trying to be the man in the house, and
So
you know
even with the Karen shit now, how
yeah.
would you handle the Karen situation?
Oh, I'm kind of like at a certain point we're told to just as men
Right.
give it up.
Right.
You pick another battle, let them
Right.
go or
Right.
whatever. But we get tired of that, especially
Fair.
when it comes from a racial standpoint. Like I think he probably would have handled it a lot differently if the Karen like wasn't like a super aggressive Karen, and it wasn't racial. But I don't know how I would have handled that. But
See
I
that's
think
that's what I'm saying. Being as though his daughters was there,
yeah,
they would say to not, act a fool in front of your daughters.
yeah.
But I'm the type that's going to act a fool in front of my daughter to set an example of not to let niggas play with you.
Yeah.
Play with you.
And
Right.
I guess the reason why he didn't is because of the daughter's anxiety,
Right.
which could have turned her up even more.
Right.
And he was trying to protect her from that or whatever.
Right.
So, I like the fact that they humanized his character and made him not be so big, like bigger than life. Because Lance's character is bigger than life. He's
Right.
a super beautiful man in that movie. As you can say it, I ain't got to say pause. But he's a football player at that. He could get any girl he wanted. He got any girl he wanted. He was married to a beautiful woman. He has a beautiful
Right.
family, beautiful home. Like that's bigger than life.
Right.
You got Tate Diggs' character, who was an author. Another.
I'm trying to figure out how all of a sudden Tay Diggs became the sex symbol with his other books and shit. All the girls was like, he's so fucking sexy, and he
Sexy, the sexiest man alive, the
Because
new sexiest
wasn't
man
he
alive.
wasn't he like the corniest one in the first movie?
yeah,
He was
yeah,
like so vanilla and corny
right,
Yes.
that it blended well with him going to number 2 and being kind of modest and putting out this book,
right,
and he just kind of falling back and letting Lance and Q's character kind of being that sexy vibe. But now he took on a vibe of his own in 3.
right.
I think they did such a good job on 3 with allowing each individual person to have their own lane,
Right.
Yeah.
So
and
let
it
me ask y'all.
highlighted each person having their own lane.
So before we get off of merch, I want to ask y'all: do y'all feel like he was justified in feeling like he was disrespected from the crew?
I
I
do.
think he brought that on himself.
Yeah, I don't think they were like outright like we've
Right.
done some outright disrespecting in our crew.
Yeah.
Like I'll specifically, denounce the young bulls and let them know
Yeah.
like all the young bulls.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see them doing that to him. Like I didn't
I
see them
think
like disrespecting him.
right. But I think he was justified in his feelings. I just feel like he should have displayed them throughout.
Right,
Like just been more vocal. Like, yo, like stop fucking with me.
right,
Like, all right, I get it. Ha ha ha. Y'all funny. Like, it's just the way he allowed it to build up and then for it to then, spiral into this.
right,
Oh, I'm pulling back. I'm not coming to the premiere. No
right,
Q. I'm not talking to you. Y'all think I'm like, instead of allowing it to build, like they were so close. They have
right.
such good connections, all of them throughout every movie or series, whatever, that he could have communicated it a little bit better than what he did. So
So
Yeah.
this is a homage to Us on Sunday, right? And I'm gonna tie it in with my comment with Us on Sunday. The 3 of us here come from the same world.
Right.
And I say what the same world is. We come from an inner city, big city, and we come from like the same neighborhood. So
Right.
we know what that feel like, which
Right.
kind of makes the 3 of us almost feel like family because we know exactly the struggles where we come from.
Right.
But then we got Karen, who's from
Right.
a whole totally different background, way of life, doing things, small little country, small little town in the country of a place trying to be a big city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to infiltrate what
So,
some people may think of as
so are you about to call KD merch?
no. I can feel where Merch was coming from with that,
Right.
right? And now looking back, I can see where sometimes KD may feel like, damn, the three of us
Right.
have
Mm-hmm.
our own set of views, and then
Right.
it's her against us. When it's not like that, and some people may think it is.
Right.
Those three guys having such strong personalities,
Right.
and being kind of the hood,
Right.
and then you introduce Merch, who is Yaden,
Right.
trying to put Yaden and the Southwest into each other. Yeah, you right down the street, but you light years away from us.
Right.
And then him being the suburban kid, where you putting these with these tough guys or these city guys who've been through so much, and it's like, all right, you got to infiltrate that circle.
Right.
But what he didn't understand was he brought a calmness
Right.
to that whole thing,
Right.
because he can go to Lance and tell Lance, yo,
Right.
chill, bro.
Right.
He could go to Q and be like, Q, you kind of wilding.
Right.
He could go to Tay's Tay Diggs character and be like, okay, I get it.
Right.
I get that you fucked up. I see that you did wrong.
Right.
But still, you got to still be you, and hopefully, and apologize and just be your authentic self, and they'll see that you're not trying to hurt nobody. So I can see exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. His character was like, you're the one that nobody's never mad at. They not never mad at you, Merch.
They're never.
Right.
Yeah, Merch is so, he's so vanilla that you can't be mad at him.
Right.
Even for the stripper thing. Remember when he was in charge of bringing the strippers, or he called himself bringing the strippers?
Right.
It was so weird, but it worked.
Right.
And it worked because his wife was a stripper.
Right.
Right.
And she just had the girl, Shelby, do some shit that turned Q on, and Q was having a good time. So it's like, no matter what, Merch can't mess up.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So were they being disrespectful, or was he the little brother, basically?
He was the suburban kid who didn't understand what the hood looked like, and how we cut on each other, right? Because we could cut on each other and still still show love. Like some people like, yeah, y'all really going back and forth like that? No, it ain't. We just having fun,
right? We just jamming.
Yeah, we just like again, Mont. We would cut on Mont,
right?
Because he was in our clique, but he was young, but he wasn't young. He still so it was like he had to go through those growing pains the same way that we had to.
Right.
So it made it decent. Like, yeah. So he tried, I guess the UFC fighting thing, and not to be long-winded, was his coming out. Was his way of him trying to stand out from where he felt like he needed to stand out versus everybody else's success.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. All right, Aisha, it's on you. Who you want to do next?
Why don't we go into Robin?
Boo.
We'll go to a girl, and I know that like towards the end, she was the most controversial character, and not necessarily controversial in much of what she was doing, but her behavior towards the end, she started drifting off into a different type of mindset and mind frame. So let's get into Robin. Let's get her out the way.
No, why you mad at Robin?
See, Lathan. I put you on a pedestal from our Love and Basketball days.
Thanks.
We all fell in love with you on Love and Basketball, and we have never ever shied away from you. But this right here put a little bad taste in my mouth. It was just like, you know what she was acting like? She was acting like the spoiled brat diva, and I can understand that she needed some attention.
Right.
She wanted her husband's attention. She needed something that she wasn't getting from him.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't actually mad. Like, I seen people before I watched it. I seen everybody on Facebook like, Robin's doing Tay Diggs so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched it, I was like, she actually didn't really do him that bad. That was actually some normal shit that she was going through.
Yeah, and I
But
and I was thinking too. I was thinking that too, but I feel like her evolution wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I just feel like those are natural human things and changes that people go through. So I was surprised because I was like, "Oh, she about to cheat.
Right.
Like she
mhm,
about to hop on that nigga dick. Like
yeah,
that's just it." But she didn't actually take it there. She just was evolving as a human being, and it's unfortunate that their marriage had to fall apart. But her being her and Harper being the couple that they were and so strong, like in two, and how they progressed from
See,
one, you
that's what
didn't
I'm saying.
expect that. You didn't
No,
expect that.
that's what I'm saying. Her and Harper were never to be together. She was
mm-mm,
always
Right.
the consolation prize.
mhm,
Well,
That's why.
yeah, obviously,
mhm,
because right,
Right.
obviously, because Jordan was the it.
Right.
But I felt like in two that maybe they were strengthened just a little bit more where Jordan wasn't necessarily that lingering threat.
Now I feel like in part two, they were showing love. That's what love
Hmm.
is. I love you. I'm not compatible with you, but I love you. And sometimes it's like, do you want somebody that is the opposite that completes you, or do you want somebody that's more like you?
Mm,
That's what I thought it was.
right.
yeah, I think so too. And I mean, let me not try to cast a dark shadow over her. Right? She did her thing. I just think how she was from one
Right.
when she found out about Harper
Right.
and what's the name messing around.
Right.
How she wasn't so happy about that.
Right.
She
Hmm.
was weirded out about it, and she
Right.
kind of made sure her those issues were always put in his face,
Right.
and then to culminate that into three, where she started liking this guy. She
let's,
started feelings
so
for this nigga.
let's stay right there with her and the guy. So, do y'all feel like where did she absolutely cross the lines at, and where did she stop at with this guy?
So I think for me, crossing the line was bringing him into the home,
Right.
whether anything was going to happen or not, but crossing that threshold, because there was some energy there, some kinetic energy that probably wasn't appropriate.
Do you
And
think
to the
not,
child,
not to cut you
like,
off, Ish?
mhm,
Do you
mhm.
think the energy was on from both parties, or more or less her?
I think
I
it's
didn't see it from him as much as I did her, but I did feel it from both. I do think it
wait,
was more on her
wait,
end.
wait a minute. When they finally kissed, when he came to the crib, didn't he kiss her first?
I thought she kind of like advanced herself a little.
Advanced her. I felt like she just kind of leaned in a little bit, but I did feel the energy from him
Yeah.
too. Like it was
Hmm.
definitely some energy between the both of them. I just felt like hers, or at least they focused on her energy a little bit
Right.
more because she swallowed hard. You could just see her body language kind of tense up and change a little bit when he came around. So I think that one, the house scene when he came in, and two, the holding of the child, like
Yeah.
not holding the
Oh, that's
child, but he
disrespectful.
was standing behind the child, just like holding her. It's just like a limitation to just certain things because that just wouldn't have set too well with Harper had he had found out. I just don't think that was cool.
All right. So let me ask you a question then. Since she was lacking attention at home, like she was searching for attention.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So was she wrong about the way she went about it? Probably. But is it justifiable?
I
I
guess.
think there's always a justificate, right? Yeah, I think there's always a small hint of justification in everything because we're human, we evolve, we change, we have wants, we have desires, we have fulfill things that we need to be fulfilled in. So I feel like yes, in a sense, she was justified in her thoughts at least.
Right.
Maybe her movements might not have been up to par, but her thoughts, she was entitled to how she was feeling. Um, and yeah, and she just could have moved a little bit different.
I think again, what this series showed is our human side. You
Right.
know,
Hmm.
it shows the lack of attention, the the lack of spousal
Right.
support,
Right.
Hmm.
however that may be, shows
Hmm.
where we can become human and we can become vulnerable to those things that are around us that are showing us those things.
Right.
Right.
Right? They come in,
Right.
you know, it comes in different forms. If it's not coming from your person who you wanted to come from, but it's
Hmm.
coming from a tall, dark, and handsome, smart guy who has his own thing
Right.
going on, and he's paying attention to the things that is going to grow your business and the things that you got going on, then you're going to gravitate to that.
Right.
You know, instead of,
Right.
and, you know, her whole thing was black empowerment and staying in the hood where she built her business
Right.
and you know wanted to give back to the community. And he was all for that. And he was showing her different ways of doing these things where her husband wanted to move out of the hood and go into the bougie neighborhoods and do these things. So you know, it just played on it played on the type of emotions that we get caught up in, which allows us to go and seek refuge in somebody else, right? Because all it we play this out on our Sunday show.
Yeah.
What leads us to other things, right? And I think that should be a topic on one of our shows. What would push you to the other side, right? And what pushed her was one, her husband not being home,
Right.
her feeling like he didn't pay her any attention to the things that she wanted for herself. Everything was about what he wanted to do.
Right.
And then she meeting somebody who actually paid attention
Mm.
to the things that she said, finding her that storefront,
Right. So
being
that's where I think the conflict comes in, that where he's like, I'm chasing this, I'm chasing this, I'm trying to get all of this money, and she like, I don't really care about all
Mhm.
Hmm.
that. So now, is it a question of, is he would say, I'm doing this for our family? Are you doing it for your family, or are you doing it because that's what you want to do?
Yeah.
Right.
But then
Hmm.
too, if we recall, he lost everything.
Right.
Harper lost a lot
Right.
and didn't have it had to go to Lance
Right.
and Q for help.
Right.
And when his wife, because what was that, two, right?
Yeah, that was
One and then two, where he had some issues, financial issues.
right.
He couldn't take care of his family.
Right.
And he had to go
Hmm.
to his homies. He had to go to his friends for help
Right.
and get that help where she may have never seen it. But then he had the opportunity to get back on his feet because he said that to him. I got the opportunity to get back on my feet. This movie,
Right.
this book is going to put me in a position to where I never need what I needed from y'all guys before.
Right.
And helps me stand on my own two feet. So I think his judgment was clouded from past experiences of not having anything.
Right.
Hmm.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't even consider that a clouded judgment. I consider that a miscompatible. Like we're just not compatible in the things that we aspire to. Like I don't
Hmm.
aspire to have this big ass house that you care about. Like that doesn't make me or break me if I have this big ass house. And I think that was her main issue was, like, even when I saw them sitting on the steps and she said to him, all right, I got something to do, but I'm gonna come be with you first, and then I'm gonna go to my shit. And then he went to her shit, and then he left.
Mm-hmm.
And then she asked him, can you come with me at least for a couple months? And he like blew her off.
Hmm.
And then he came back and he was like, well, maybe I'll meet y'all there. And that was the
Hmm.
breaking point. I feel like
Yes,
that was the breaking point.
yes,
Hmm.
it was.
I would agree.
I would
I would
agree.
agree. Yeah.
I'd
Because
agree.
she was really looking forward to that. And she was looking forward to experiencing it as a family, as a unit.
Right,
And by him saying, oh, well, maybe I'll meet y'all there, or oh, maybe I will come a little later and maybe do 1 month instead of two, or whatever it was. I think for her, that was like deflation. It was like, okay, well, this whole experience that I had in my mind for our family is now not going to happen because what's over here takes precedence, is taking more precedence than us.
so for everybody who was bashing Robin, I would say that maybe this was not Robin changing like she was changing as people do, but it was more or less him not willing to compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great analogy. And as I sit back and you think about it and you hear different perspectives, you actually get an understanding that she's not at fault. No one is really at fault when it comes to the way that they feel,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially um when you're in a partnership
Right.
and when you're not getting the things that you need and your feelings and your feelings and your wants is not being fulfilled.
Right.
It's hard to look past that.
Right.
It's hard to look past that because there comes a time that someone sees you
Right.
and they start to do the things or they start to fulfill the needs of what somebody else is not doing.
Right.
And it just so
Mm-hmm.
happens it don't be by choice, it be by chance.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So then you have to, make a decision. Do I just go without for fucking ever? Like, because my partner's just not going to fucking do it. So
Mm-hmm.
so am I supposed to just go without forever? And that's a hard decision
It
because
is.
you love this person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
Definitely a hard decision.
where I kind of gave her the thumbs down, I actually want to flip that up. And the reason why I want to flip that up is because sometimes we are in our own emotions and our own feelings, or even in our own glow up, that we bypass the very thing that shined its light on us to help us see down those dark alleys when we couldn't see. And now that we've gotten through those tough times and we in our own light, we forget the we forget to hold the hand of the person that
Right.
helped get us there and bring
Mm-hmm.
them along with us. We're
Mm-hmm.
pulling them along instead of walking with them and having and then also sharing in their moments of darkness because she still had her own perils that she was going through as well.
Right.
And you get it, when that person walks away from you and there's no more of that, you're left to sit and wonder, damn, can I get them back or how can I make this right or whatever? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. When if you was just paying attention, it didn't have to go that route.
Right. So it was all that chasing the bag. I'm chasing the bag. I'm chasing the bag because you don't know. You only have a limited amount of time when you're hot. So when you're
Mm.
chasing a bag, you're chasing a bag. But when you have a partner and you're not nurturing that, you're missing time there. So that time might only be a little bit amount of time for you to
Facts.
hold on to that as well. So you
Facts.
have to make a decision on which side is more important to you,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's a tough decision, man.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I would like to go to Shelby. Next, I would like to go to Shelby.
I think the
Girl.
stars three.
The star,
Shelby
she star.
Shelby kind of was the star of three, and the reason why I say Shelby was the MVP of three is because Shelby did a lot. Shelby got Q in order because
Right,
Q was all over the fucking place.
right.
Q was all over the place, and Q was about to marry somebody who I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Um,
Was it really crazy though?
the first wife,
Yeah,
she was thrown. She was trying to change that man.
right. But is that always a bad thing? That's what I mean.
I think she helped him to see another side of himself. Now, whether he wanted to stay on that side or not is obviously he didn't. But I think she helped him learn a lot about himself and kind of helped him be a little more centered because he's not as crazy and wild as the Q that he was, and then he's not that homeopathic Q that she wanted him to be either. He found a happy medium with, you know what I mean, with experiencing that.
Did she care about that man, or did she care about the opportunity that came with being with him?
That's what I was going. That was going to say that looked at like more of a business arrangement.
Yeah, that was a
Hmm.
business. Like
But
she wanted that money. She wanted that situation so bad. She wanted to
but it
turn it into
but
hers.
is that always a bad thing?
She was trying to push the dad out.
The dad, it's time for the, and we eventually saw it was time for the dad to get out anyway.
We did.
Hmm.
We did see that. But was she really tied into love? Because what chick in a right mind, you love me, you about to marry me,
Right.
and you my ex is there or something that you know still love me, and you saying, yo, I know you fucked my man,
and she ate that.
and
I,
she
She ate that.
I applaud that. I applaud.
Came real vicious to Shelby
I
too.
applaud.
Keep
I
my man
applaud
dick
that.
out your mouth.
I employed that behavior because she saw it for what it was.
but
Mm-hmm.
it basically was, don't fuck my bag up.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
fucking my bag up.
Right. But not only don't fuck my bag up, it was like, all right, you fucked them, but I don't care about that. Like because this is like I'm trying to build a legacy here.
Yeah.
So it was like her thought process was beyond, all right, you just got some pussy. Like you got to thank for shorty, you just got some pussy, and I applaud her for that.
Right,
But
right.
was the legacy that she was building a legacy for herself, or was the legacy with love?
That's what I
I
mean.
don't think it was with love.
I don't think legacies come with love all the time.
No, they
That,
don't.
is
Right.
They
that,
don't. They don't.
and that's where I
But
applaud.
I.
And that's where I applaud Shelby, because
Right.
Mm-hmm,
she went after what she wanted. As toxic
mm-hmm,
as she seemed,
Right.
as crazy as she seemed over the top, she didn't quit from getting her man.
Right.
And when she got him, she did the necessary things to keep him.
She definitely did.
She did everything that keep her family the way that her family should have went.
All
mm-hmm.
right, no, we have to tell Ish this thing that Shelby was doing that Ish had a little problem with, right? So when Shelby was like on her extra horny bag, trying to fuck him like every 2 minutes, you
What's
know,
wrong with that?
I was
That's
like,
how it's
here
supposed
we
to be.
go, here we go. Some women might say, well, what's the problem in that? And it'd be like, at some point, a nigga might be tired. Like, Jesus.
Enough's a fucking enough. But
I'm all with the always, we fucking a lot shit. But sometimes if it comes to a point where he got to take the blue pill and he hiding from you, then get
yeah,
him in.
Yo, that restaurant scene was hilarious. When she
hilarious.
came in with her little shades, her little trench coat, like, yeah, baby, I'm here. Let's get it.
So,
He was
so
scared as shit.
how would you would have handled that if Shelby was, bringing that attention to you?
I don't know. I don't know. We always say, "Oh, I'm gonna keep going with it," but sometimes, again, like you say, we get tired.
All right.
And I mean, as much as we
Love sex.
love sex, as much as we love our female,
Right.
it'd be like, all right, no, all right, cool, I get it, I got it. You know what I mean?
Hold on. The main point that I need the females to understand is that I might want to do it, but I just might physically be not able to do it
Yeah.
as much as you trying to do it.
And that's no knock on you, because I might in my mind want to fuck,
Right.
but maybe I can't at that moment. I'm tired. It's been a rough day. Whatever. Can't get it up. Whatever.
Not only that, no. I just got off 4. Like I just got off 4 nuts. You still trying to fuck? Give me a second.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
There
Like,
is no seconds. No, I'm
Right.
just joking. I'm joking.
but
I get it.
yeah, like, damn, give me the
I
break
get
for
it.
a minute, please. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with him and the health issues, you know what I mean? She in the hospital, she was like, "What? No sex? Like
Right.
what? What you
Right.
say?" Um, but I just think that the sexual prowess of a woman sometimes is can be a bit much, you know what I mean? Especially in the older age. Like if you notice she was going through beginning stages of menopause, her sex drive was through the roof. And, especially when you are physically attracted to your man and you know what I mean, you just see him like you just want to jump his bones all the time. So I understood where she was coming from, but I do understand that other point of view as well, that sometimes you need a break, and not all the time doesn't mean anything else is
Yeah.
going on. That is
It
just a
doesn't mean that we're
physical
not interested.
thing.
It doesn't mean that we don't find you interested. It just means,
Right.
all right.
And even
Right.
as people saying that they were toxic, I think the toxic calmed down. I mean, it might have started off toxic, but I think she grew a lot. Like,
She
Oh
did.
yeah.
from the first movie to the last final chapter, she grew a lot.
Yeah, she grew a lot. Grew a lot. And I guess what this was trying to show us was she just wanted to be with him.
Right.
Yeah.
She just wanted, she knew what she wanted. The first two, they were always at odds.
Right.
But it's like that puppy love in school. Y'all always, you know, your parents, like you got a little bully, little guy bullying a little girl.
Right.
He likes him or whatever. And I think it was just that. And that third one, when she came and got her shit, her man, she was like, "Fuck it, I'm getting mine."
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like throughout the three projects or whatever, I think she had the best growth, and yeah, she grew a lot.
Yeah, she did.
She was a better friend. Like she was a better everything.
She was a better everything. Where the first two showed her as kind of like being like
selfish, selfish,
like super like over the top, loud, crazy, ghetto,
and then, self-centered.
Yeah, so and then three, her being the one that everybody came to, because she was the most sane at that point.
Right. All right, now who you want to do next, man? Mia. Everybody missing Mia, man.
Even though Mia wasn't in 3, her spirit was in 3. But as selfish as this may sound, I'm kind of glad we didn't get an overkill of Mia.
I'm glad too.
In this. I liked how she was thoughts and not like playing on her character and trying to force us to understand that.
Right.
She passed away because of sickness or whatever. But I like how Lance was so in love with her that he was rebelling because of I guess missed opportunities. Was it? Would you say missed opportunities or just the lack thereof her not being present?
It wasn't. It wasn't missed opportunities. He was rebelling because he didn't want to feel that type of hurt again. Is what he said.
Right.
I don't want to. I don't ever want to feel this kind of hurt again.
Is that the case? I felt more like he felt like he was doing her wrong by moving on.
No, he
wasn't
on it. No, he wasn't.
No. Okay. I think his rebelling, him just sleeping around, it stayed on the surface.
Right.
So there was no feelings being intertwined in any way, shape, or form. It was just pure physical, pure. You come, do me a service, I knock you down, and you be about your business. And we don't have to intertwine, intermingle, or do anything that could lead to love. Because I don't want to feel that shit ever again. That's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, but as for me, I think they did. They did her right. They didn't do too much.
Yeah.
They showed her like once or twice, and they showed like the gravesite. But yeah, I think they did it right because they would overdo it, and you would see her like in somebody's dream or in somebody's thought every fucking 15 minutes, and it would just be
or her standing in the
her
room talking to Lance and telling him it was cool.
Right.
Like that's not. It's real, but it's kind of like, all right, we got it. We got it already from the second one. We got it. We know.
Yeah.
I'm not mad, but we did miss Mia though.
Who would you say? All right, so this is another question. Who will you say role was a little underwhelming? If you had to critique each and every one of the 6,
right?
Was it 6 or 7? 8.
It's 8, I think.
8, 4 couples, right?
Yeah.
Who would you say out of the 4 was underwhelming?
The one I'm mad at is Candace.
We'll say the same thing.
Right. Me too.
I would say Nia, but it's more Candace.
I said Mia. Candace was cool with me because she was trying to shed that
the stripper
dancer,
right,
and becoming an actual like writer, a student, a mother. She was trying to shed that Hoochie Mama role that they gave her the second one.
But
Like,
they was ODing it. Like she not even cute. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that shit. She was rag. I'm sorry. I like dumb wigs and just her appearance. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like she could still be
That's what I'm
of
saying.
herself and still be the same, but evolving. Like they
yes.
had her looking homely and just
They took her from super badass stripper to you married Shorty?
Yeah. Like did this like ragamuffin type deal.
Right.
Like
right.
I was kind of like
Right.
confused with that. Yeah, I was confused with it. But then this one had what's the name? Mia Long's character kind of like all out there. Like just it felt like she was a third wheel everywhere she was at. In a sense to me. Like she's like Harper still loves her.
Right.
But he's married still, and
I felt confused about her and the bull. What's the bull name?
the African.
Bobo. Bobo.
I was
She
gonna
was
call him
like, that
African
is
booty
not
scratcher.
Bobo. His name is Will. Okay. Yeah,
I was gonna
Bobo.
call him African booty scratcher. I was kind of confused with that too. All right, cool. Like you like her, she cute to you, y'all smash, whatever. Like do something with each other. Like what y'all gonna do?
Yeah, I
No,
didn't know
that.
that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I don't know.
I didn't either.
All right, who y'all want to do next, man?
Let's do well, let's do Jordan then. Since
Right.
let's stay right there and go right into Jordan since we're talking about Miss Nia Long.
Did they ever even address the whole going blind thing?
I don't think that they did. I think it was like very surface on the surface, very superficial, and then it just kind of it kind of ended. But I don't think they circled in on that heavily.
Right, it just fucking disappeared. Like
Yeah.
she went blind one day and she was laying down. She went to the doctors and they never said anything else.
Right,
Yeah.
but other than she wasn't pregnant,
Right,
right? Other than
right,
she wasn't pregnant.
right.
Yeah, but it didn't go into much. Like, was it stress? Was it her being overworked? What was it, a health issue? They didn't really acknowledge it. Luckily it seemed like she was okay though.
Mm.
So was that a thing of somebody withholding information when she didn't know the bull was into the jail shit? Eve? Would y'all
Into the
consider
what?
when like the bull was for like pro jails and shit like using black men, what do they call that? Using black men as mules or something. Like he was making money
Oh,
like
like
jails.
the shell company thing that he did.
So
Mhm.
is that a case of withholding information? Do y'all see that as withholding information?
I feel like something such as that could ultimately lead to um possible like indictments or arrest or just
So
things that are
so
of a
if I don't tell you what my job is, that's let's stay right there. If I don't tell you what my job is or what I do for a living, is that withholding information if you're not my girl per se?
not necessarily. However, I will say she initially stated, I don't trust you.
Right, but
Right?
right,
So
but
this is how you build trust. This is how
right,
you
but
build trust, especially about
hold on. So is that trust from you fucking other bitches, or is that trust from who are you, or does that all go together?
I think in her as grown up Jordan, as big age Jordan, like they were 20, she said. I think at big age Jordan, it was just probably trust across the board. I think the underlying trust, yeah, might have been okay. Are you going to be playing the same games that you were playing when you were 20? But I think for her, the type of woman that she is, how she built up her career, how she built herself up as a woman, I think it was trust across the board. And her saying, I don't really trust you, sir, was the open opportunity to say, hey, listen, I got these shell companies and this is what I am doing, and allowing her that she has a lot to lose. Like, Jordan had a lot to fucking lose. And for him to, no matter what it is that you do, for him not to be transparent with her, knowing her trust issues were there, was where he already asked himself out.
That's my question. Did he ever ask her for trust?
Didn't he say they had a conversation? Like,
No,
and she said, I don't
she
trust you. And
told him that she didn't trust him. He never said, I want you to trust me. He was trying to smash. He was trying to fuck with her. He never
so
said, let's make this a thing. Like,
so that's the impression that I got. Now,
right,
I got the impression that, because he stated, I have all of this. I
right,
don't want to have it alone. I
right.
want to have someone. I want to have someone to
Right.
share all of this with. And so, in my eyes, that means.
So that's my question. So do I have to tell you how I got all of this? Just because I'm telling you that I got all of this? Do I have to tell you how I got it? Or can we get there at some point?
I say you got to tell me.
You agree
I
with that?
say you.
I think where we're challenging Isha on this at is because we face it a lot,
Right, right,
like like on a need to know basis.
right,
But if we don't divulge information, we're wrong. If we do divulge too much information, then we're still wrong.
right.
Um, I agree with both. I agree that she had a lot to lose, and with her being such in a prominent role of being what was she, director of a news, of a channel,
Yeah,
of a whole, like she was like the whole big thing.
right,
So her
Right.
being a black woman
right,
at that, knowing some of the perils that she faced when she first, took on that, and how people was clowning her and coming at her neck for not being black enough, and all this and that. Yes, when you are dealing with someone of that stature who's in the public eye, you have to give them as much information that they can give, that you give them, so they can walk with that. If they choose to walk away, they walk away. If they choose to deal with it, then that's on them at that point.
right, right. But what I'm asking is, what is the timeline on that? Like,
Yeah,
if we just started talking again,
yeah. Where's the timeline?
yeah, if we just started talking again,
Mhm.
aren't I supposed to work my way to that, or is that the initial conversation?
Well, it doesn't have to be the initial conversation, no, and I get it. And every situation is definitely different, especially with divulging information, because I even said, yeah, some things are not everybody's business right off the bat. I totally agree with that, right? But I feel like they had a couple of interactions, but I feel like at that one transparent moment that they were having, well, semi-transparent, where they were communicating with one another deeply enough, that should have been the segue.
Right, but what I'm saying is, at that point, they weren't fucking, right? So
So you
if
gotta fuck me. You gotta fuck me to tell me something that might ultimately, smear or mar my livelihood. You gotta have sex with me in order for you to divulge that. That's what you're saying.
what I'm saying is that if we're not that deep, why am I giving you all of my shit? Like, why am I telling you my whole life story, like my whole secrets, my whole whatever I have going on, and then we can not talk again, and but now you know all my shit, and we never even fucked, but you know all my shit. That is weird to me.
Well, if you can recall, and we just gonna stay right in that little situation, she was digmatized by him. They
Right,
had fucked regularly,
right,
and there was a lot of uh history there. So
right.
maybe that's what I'm thinking, because of their history. You know what I mean?
But having
That it should have been a little easier.
previously fucked in your 20s and then being in your 40s now, is your whole life is different. So
Right.
say in my 20s, I could have killed somebody. But if I meet you in my 40s, am I supposed to say, yo, when I was 20, I killed somebody? And we haven't even fucked yet. Am I supposed to tell you this? That's what I'm asking.
I get it. I get you. I definitely get you. And no, I don't feel like, that might have necessarily not have been something you would want to have divulged because it's from your past. However, this gentleman was indulging in his shit currently.
Go ahead now.
Why didn't you just ask?
That's what I'm saying.
Why didn't you just say, well, what do you do?
Right.
Because to us, when it's not asked of us, we're not just volunteering. Right. Where, depending on your job, you're not divulging certain information. If I was a producer of a or a TV network, I'm going to say, hey, I'm executive producer of NBC. Because it sounds good. It's good to know. But if whatever I'm doing other than that, I'm not just coming off the cuff. Yo, by the way, I sell cars. I'm not doing that.
That's what I'm saying. Not doing that.
No, I get
just because it's like
I get it.
Men hold things in, and women is just throwing everything up.
That's why I said sometimes women create their own timeline. And it's like, if you're not on my timeline, then you on some shady shit. It's like, no, I'm not on no shady shit. It's like, can I get to know you before I tell you all my intimate shit?
Yeah. Right. I can agree with that. Agree with that.
No, I can't tell you where the bodies is at, and we haven't even fucked.
Yeah, I don't know if you the feds.
That's what I'm saying.
Yet.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I trust you yet. Exactly. Do I even trust you yet? Exactly. I might not get you yet.
I get you.
Who we got left, man?
So
hold on. Before we move off of Jordan, do y'all think? What do y'all think about how she ended things with what the fuck is Tay Diggs' character at the end? When she said, "No, I'm not gonna fuck with you right now because you need time to figure this out."
That was big of her.
Yeah, I think it was bigger her and healthy of them, their friendship, because they could have took it somewhere, and then who knows what happens from there. Who knows
I don't see it that way. I see that as what do they call that shit? Being commendable, whatever they want, however they want to justify it. But I also see the other side of it as like, I always wanted you, and we had this opportunity. Mia already died. How much fucking time do you want to wait?
Yeah, I mean they did it. Yeah, I get you. I was going to say they did it at brown sugar, but that was what opportunity he got. But who was that with? And that wasn't Tay and Nia Long. That was Tay and Sanaa, actually. Right, where he got out of the marriage and hopped right into that situation because that's what they've wanted for so long, and it was beautiful and it worked out so well. So I do agree with you there, and I think that maybe she was fearful when that opportunity actually came.
Right, but why not? Would you say no?
Or maybe she was just past that shit. Like, she's probably.
That's what I'm saying. It seemed like she was being sometimey. Like, I fucked you now. I'm cool.
Or the wife's not in the picture no more. I don't really.
Yeah. Now it's
sometimes like when you can't have when you want what you can't have, and somebody else is blocking it, you want it even more.
Right.
But the moment it comes available and it's like there for you, it's like. The luster is like not there anymore.
Right, and that's what it seemed like to me. That's what it seemed like to me. Like, oh, now you're over it. Now we just friends now.
Yeah, we just friends, and we're gonna stay in that zone. Like, yeah,
like I would have respected it more if they would have been like, let's just take things slow and date or whatever, and do the regular process instead of her being like, nah, it ain't nothing. That's how she basically was like, it ain't nothing.
Yeah, and she could have been thinking too, that's just about all of the moving parts within their circle. Like, you know what I mean? Her and him hopping into something, she would have to deal with everybody saying and having opinions and all of that, and Robin still being present, and
Right.
it being like, see, we
Right.
knew it all along.
Right.
You know what I mean? That type of thing. So it could have, been a lot of different reasons.
Right. That's why I said just take it slow with me then. Don't fucking sun me like we didn't just fuck like you didn't just think you was pregnant with my baby. Like cut it the fuck out, shorty.
Right. Right. That would have been something though. That would have been a fucking twist for your ass had
If
she
she
would
was
have been
pregnant.
pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who do you have left, y'all?
We did everybody, didn't we?
Everybody? Did we
We
do
did
everybody?
everybody. I think my question to y'all is, what was your overall thoughts of the final chapter? Like, was it a make it or break it for y'all?
It was a good closure for me.
Okay.
It was a good closure for me. So they don't need to make any more movies. You know, it was a good closure for me. I think they tapped into, like, they closed everything that needed to be closed, except for I still think Nia needs to give up the buns. But I think everything else is pretty much situated. We
So
got
if
this.
they came out with a season 2, you would be open to it, T?
No,
Or
because
no? Or are you saying no?
I think it's gonna be whack. If they do anything more than this, I think it's gonna be whack because now they're gonna be doing too much. They're gonna be doing a lot of, like, even in this there was some shit that I felt like now y'all just doing shit. Like,
Y'all just doing shit.
yeah, y'all
Like
just
I like the football scene. Be
yeah,
a football player again, doing too much.
right.
Just
Like
make
now he Tom Brady. Now he
yeah,
Tom Brady and shit. Y'all
doing
just
too much.
grabbing. When they start doing shit like that, they start grabbing headlines like, "This is what's going on. Let's pull this in and put
Yeah,
this in the movie." I don't like that kind of shit.
yeah.
Be
It
original.
was too much. Certain things was too much. I was like, all right, enough's enough.
Hmm.
Like we get it.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
get it.
Yeah. So I know we talked about Lance a lot. What did y'all think about, just the whole how he handled the coming out of his son?
It hurt.
It's almost like he had no other choice.
That's what I was about to say. It was painful to see, but I probably would react the same way.
Hmm.
But it was painful to see.
The only thing that like kind of softened the blow a little bit, it was he was grown. Like
Right,
he wasn't a little boy. He wasn't like he was a grown man
right,
working. He was still in high school, but it felt older than just a regular child to
right,
us.
right,
Yeah.
So it was all right. Like you have no other choice, bro. Like
right,
he made a decision. He don't want to play ball. He dressed up like a female. This is where his comfort zone at. Like you got to support your child.
right.
And
Right. How
yeah,
did y'all feel about when he found out that, like, all of the friends knew and he didn't? Would that be like something that you guys, like, you would want your friends to tell you? Do you think that they did the right thing by not going to him and allowing the son to just,
I
you
feel
know?
like I feel like they did the right thing, and he could be, and
Mhm.
you gonna be mad for a little bit,
mm-hmm.
but then you gonna get over that.
Right.
Like you want that safety blanket. You
Right,
that's the reason why you named them as their godparents,
right,
right? Q, Jordan, you
right,
made them the godparents
right,
because you feel confident that if anything goes on with the child, they feel they're going to be comfortable with you.
right,
So if you didn't come to me in a sense, you still came to your parent because
right,
I entrusted them with you as my child.
right,
So and you know what? I like the fact that they allowed him to consume it on his time
right,
and
Mhm.
not ran back and told him and
right,
he got all crazy with it.
right,
But then too, he was at a better place in his life.
right,
If that would have came out when he was Freak Fest Bull
right,
and trying to find his own mental clarity,
right.
it could have did something to him.
Yeah, it would have been
Right.
worse. It would've been
Because he
worse.
was angry as shit.
Right, right,
He was angry, but not like you smashing all these women and you angry, but the anger came from him not having the closure. And I guess
right,
that's what he needed, closure from his situation with his wife.
right.
Right.
Yeah, I would have probably handled that the same way he did, even though it wasn't pretty to see. But
Mhm.
eventually
Mhm.
he came around at the end, and that's
Yeah.
what.
I What I didn't understand, which was another overkill moment for me, was the dad. the dad was just like, what?
Q dad.
Yeah, I'm like, well, all right, what?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
It's,
that's one of those moments when I said, yeah, they just doing a lot.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like,
You mean
all
like with
right,
the whole Alzheimer's thing?
Not
And
even
not
it's
the
like,
even that,
it's
just
like
the whole.
it's the messy crib shit and him telling Q, no, I'm not selling because of this and that. It was all of that shit. It
yeah,
wasn't
Then two
okay.
minutes later, all right, I'm gonna sell,
right.
and what? I'm
Mhm.
just like, all right,
Right.
okay, I'm
Right.
rich, but who knew that y'all had money? And all right, cool. It was just like,
Mhm.
all right.
Right.
It was like,
Right.
okay, some things was like, all right, we get it. We get that you got to tie this all in together some way somehow. But it was like,
It was too much.
it was too much.
Yeah,
It
it was
was
too
too much.
much.
Right.
That's why a 2 would be too much
That's what I'm saying.
unless it was just all about Jordan,
Right.
because that's the only one
Yeah, it got to be a
whose
spinoff.
situation is not tied up.
Right. It got to be a spinoff.
Yeah,
It got to be a spinoff. So
and
Right.
I almost think
one
it
of the
feels like with her now in the headlines, in real life headlines,
right.
with her being, her being in Dubai with Terrence J, her being on the red carpet pulling Omarion with her now newly back in the world after the allegations with her husband. It feels like something's coming.
She
It
back
feels like
outside.
something's coming, but
Outside.
she back outside. It feels like they're going to throw something at us that has to do with that. Because it's
Right.
Peacock. They ain't just, Peacock ain't just pick up that just for that one little thing. The ratings was high.
Right.
The reviews were positive, so it
That's what
seemed
I'm
like
saying.
it went.
If they do a spinoff with, even if they did a spinoff with Terrence Howard and Shelby, I would be cool with that. But I don't want to see the whole cast together anymore.
The whole cast. Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Like,
even if they do a spinoff, you got to bring it. You got to introduce one person here and there.
yeah. Some
You bring Tay's
cameos.
customer. You bring Tay's. You get a little couple minutes with Tay. Get him a cup of tea to see if they do have an opportunity to get back.
Right.
Now that they've been away from each other, his marriage has fallen apart. They're not getting back. Then he might visit and they might sit down and talk and just decide, no, that's not the way to go. Then you bring in Africa Boomada and
Yeah.
show him and her with their little relationship. And then you might introduce them going out to dinner dates with, with Merch and his wife and
Right.
Q and his
Mm-hmm.
wife and, Lance and his little situation over here. Okay. But to bring them all back together to do this all over again is just like, what can you give us that you didn't give us the first time?
Right. First 3 times.
First 3
Mm-hmm.
times, yeah.
Yeah, it was too.
Facts.
It was too much, man. But how do y'all feel about how Shelby and Q handled the whole "this is your daughter" situation?
Loved it.
Oh, that was so sweet. I think I
Loved,
teared up.
I
No,
loved it.
would you would have ate it when she first said it, or would you would have been mad at first?
Just if I put myself in his shoes,
Right.
he had a relationship with her from the start. He thought that was his stepdaughter, who he always was like had an affection for from the first what was it, the first episode, was the second
The
one, right?
second.
The
Was
The
second,
second. Yeah.
the second one, right?
yeah, the second,
Mm-hmm.
He always kind of had a little thing for the little girl, like they always were close.
right.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't get married, would you tell me this was my daughter just to be spite?
Right.
I kind of feel what you're saying now. Like I'm like, if I marry Shaquilla Sunflower over here, little Miss Crazy, if I
Right.
would have married her, would you would have been telling me this is my daughter for the get back and then been messy with it, or
She
are you
probably
telling me
would have
this is
never
my
told
daughter?
him. She probably
No,
would have
she
never.
probably wouldn't have
Yeah,
never
I
told
never
him.
would have told him.
Right.
Or are you telling
Mm-hmm.
me this because you now want our family to grow and you want me to know I'm more than her stepfather? I am actually her father.
Right. But my question is, would you be mad at all the years that you didn't know that wasn't your daughter?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to know who my kids are. Yeah, tell me who my kids are. I don't
So
want to believe that's my stepdaughter. I want to know that.
Ish, let me ask you: is there ever a time where you women feel like I'm not telling this nigga?
I think for each individual, sometimes there are underlying reasons why you don't want to bring it forth. However, I do feel like the longer you wait to tell some shit, the worse it gets. And not the worse it gets in necessarily receiving it, but there's years and years, like in this situation, is years and years and years that he could have been a father to his daughter, that he could have been a part of her life, that he could have watched her grow, that he could have helped just with any and everything. And by her keeping it from him for whatever her specific reason was, I feel like, yes, she got an opportunity to make it right, but not every, that's a,
right. That don't always
that's,
happen.
yeah, that's just a show.
So do you
Because
feel like,
not all the time is that work out that way.
do you feel like she was withholding that out of spite?
No. Because if we saw, I don't think it was spite. I feel like there were so many layers to Shelby, and some of her scared, little vulnerable, lashing out, being, you know, a little jerkball in certain instances. I feel like she was afraid.
Of what?
I feel like she was afraid because I feel like her fear lied in not being loved by him.
Right, but
If y'all think back to the first one,
that's not a scapegoat for you to not tell me that this is my daughter.
no, absolutely not. And I don't think she was right by any means. And I don't think that should have been like an excuse. I'm just saying, like, having like studied her from the first one, if you can remember to the first scene at the wedding, when she caught the bouquet and he caught the garter belt, and she had to sit in the chair, there was a look in her eyes when he was putting it on her. From that moment, I knew there was a genuine, I've always said that there was a genuine fucking love for Q, like unmatched. And I knew that if there would ever be a part 2 or whatever, that's how it was going to be. I think she was afraid.
We're still searching for the fear, though, Ish. You still didn't tell us.
No, I'm serious. Like, think of on the beach when he said to her, you hide your feelings, you hide behind everything. And she said, no, it's not hiding, it's protecting myself. She was afraid of being rejected.
Right, but how does that transcend to the daughter? Do you feel like I'm going to reject my daughter? The fuck?
And that's the reason why I say
no, because they already had an onus on her head already. Like Nell said, they already thought she was wild, rambunctious, out there, a whore, a this, a that. By her having a baby by Quentin showed that, you know, she was loose. Like, you know what I mean? That she has slept unprotected with him. Whatever the reasons may be, I think there was just certain things that she just may not have necessarily wanted to come out, which is why she didn't say anything.
But then we found out that he had a relationship with the little girl, because remember, she was like, hey, Uncle Q, congratulations on getting married. I just want to say I'm proud of you. Blah, 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 blah. He was like, thanks, baby girl. Whatever. And then when they wound up kissing in the airport, she got on the phone and said, hey, baby girl, thank you, but I didn't get married. Me and your mom together now.
Right.
He had a relationship. Like, he had a relationship with the
No,
he did. He did.
We're still trying to find out, where does the fear come in?
Well, I mean, that was just my take on it. I think she was afraid. You know, maybe that wasn't it.
I understand.
Because then if would be the other logical reason then. Like, you know what I mean?
I understand women being afraid of rejection from the man, but where is the fear of not telling him that this is his daughter? What is that fear? He already cool with Shorty. What is the fear in not telling him that this is his daughter?
Right. You mean like when she was pregnant? Way back when?
Not only when she was pregnant, throughout all of these years.
Yeah. Like, she should have told him that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
He kind of was like accepting of it, but like, yeah, like, that's crazy. Don't tell that man that ain't his child. Like,
yeah, all these years. And Lance did bring it out, like, just like you didn't tell Q, that was his baby. No, I get it, and I don't agree with how she handled it. I just was thinking more or less that
Is now that
her
you say
feelings.
that, is Lance not a good friend for not telling Q, yo, bro, that's your fucking daughter?
Wait a minute. Now that she said that, is that not withholding the information like the bull did with Jordan?
Yeah. Could that be the
Absolutely,
same type of
absolutely,
situation?
absolutely, absolutely. It can, and I won't shy away from that. I won't shy away from that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, like as much as we applaud their friendship, the 8 of them or the 7 of them,
Right.
Mhm.
and but now that Mia's not there, it's kind of crazy because a lot of shit that they did, they kept away from each other, which ultimately hurt the ex person.
Right.
And Q took it like a big dog and
Right.
just accepted the responsibility. He could have been upset with Lance.
Right.
Like, yo, all these years, this girl was fucking 15 years old.
Right.
However she was, spoiled little brat. And
Mhm.
I thought she was just I just thought her a little niece. I didn't
Right.
know she was my actual child.
Right. All right.
That's crazy. But things work in fairy tale land, things always work out for the best.
Fairy tale land,
Yeah,
right?
fairy tale
Things
land,
always work out for the
fairy
best.
tale
The
land.
kid
Yep.
goes on to be prosperous and be a happy family and things like that. But
hmm
come on now.
hmm
Tell
But
that.
they showed some distinction between her what's the daughter's name? Kennedy,
Kennedy.
Kennedy and Q. Yeah, they showed a little distinction because she was calling him Q bought it for me. Q did this, Q did that. She never called him dad until he was having that heart attack and she was afraid, and she made that connection with him. So they did kind of show how, him being absent from her life affected her too.
But did she know that was her dad? Did Shelby tell her that was her dad?
No,
She
but
told her
but
that. She told her
but
that was.
that's just how people be once you get married. Once you get married, it's like you can call me dad now. Even if I'm
Yeah,
not really your real dad, you can call me dad.
yeah, you can. But
Oh,
like,
okay.
I guess was she looking at him like, damn, this is daddy
Right.
versus this is my mom's husband who always been in my life, and I looked at him as Uncle Q
Right.
versus damn, this is my dad. Now I feel like now that's my dad when he was having a heart attack and feel like he was dying, but like I was just a
Right.
wallet for you for a minute.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do want to say to the ladies, this is a classic case of stop picking and choosing when you think information should or can be divulged because
hmm
that man specifically just didn't tell Jordan what he did as a job. This lady withheld the child,
Oh my god!
and nobody said anything.
But
hmm
she was held that was her child even when they were married.
Right,
It's not like yo, the night of our due. By the way, Kennedy is your daughter.
right.
We waited a long time for this.
hmm
The timeline, people. I tell them all the time. The timeline, man. Everybody on their own
Right.
timeline, man.
hmm
But this is our best man final chapters recap. Any last words, people?
Shout out to my man Stephen A. Smith. I know he always gets on my Cowboys, but his daughter played one of the daughters to Merch, and she did an amazing job. Shout outs to
She
that little
did.
young lady. I seen an interview that she did, and I didn't know that was Stephen A. Smith's actual daughter until this interview, and she did an amazing job. She calls Philadelphia home. So shout outs to Shorty for definitely being one of Philadelphia's own, and also has a great dad as a father as well. So shout outs to them.
But yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I believe it was the youngest one, correct?
The youngest daughter, his
Yeah.
youngest daughter, Merchants and them youngest daughter
Merch's
was
youngest
Stephen A.
daughter.
Smith's daughter. Yeah,
Right.
that's Stephen A. Smith's actual youngest child as well.
Young child as well. Okay.
And I think they spend time here in Philadelphia because
hmm
Philadelphia Fox 29 did what's her name? Alex Holly did an interview on a little girl, and the
Correct.
young lady, I should say, not a little girl, but the young lady, and she hails from this area, and she was bigging up,
Yeah, because Philadelphia is like Stephen A. Smith's base.
Yeah, when he was here for a long time, even though he reps New York. But you know what I mean? Shout outs to the A. Smith family. A. Smith favorite, like that's
Any last words, E?
Stephen A. Smith. No, I think it was a great wrap up to an amazing movie. I totally enjoyed it. And I was pleased. I was pleased. I definitely was pleased. It was a good watch.
I want to say that the Best Man is, a big cultural thing for me. It's like a staple. It's like a if you're black, you should have seen the Best Man. It's one of those things. I was for me. That's what I would say. Like it goes in the Boys in the Hood and all of that catalog.
yeah.
If you didn't see the Best
Yeah.
Man, you're actually probably not black.
Yeah, you tripping.
Okay, right.
You tripping.
You tripping.
You're right.
So that's what it is, man. All right, people, let's get up out of here, man.
All
Got it.
righty. Peace.